All right. Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday.
Monday. I'm feeling good because I got some sun this weekend.
You did get some sun.
Went
Looks great,
away.
man. It's like, where were you at? Were you at the
Listen,
beach or something?
Yeah, we were in Delaware.
Yes.
At the beaches down there. But mostly it's just like that it's sunny again. Dude, the rain
Oh
last
my gosh.
all
I know what
week.
you mean, man.
It
When the
was
sun
gray.
comes out. And when I saw the moon like a couple nights ago, I'm like, whoa.
Wasn't
Hadn't
it
seen the
cool?
moon in a long time because of the sun. I mean, because of the rain.
Because of the rain, yeah.
But hey, it's all good, man.
It was
it's all
all
good.
orangey.
Sunny
and
Monday.
Like,
yeah.
Fat full moon.
Love it, man.
Yep. You have a good weekend? You got Elise home. That's
Got
cool.
Elise home. Yep. She's home for the weekend.
Visiting. That's
for a couple
awesome.
weeks actually, so it's really cool.
That's really cool.
Yep.
It's good to have her back, and it's good to be here at the table.
It is, always is, man. After a Sunday, it's always good to be here and talking about it.
Debrief a little bit, yeah.
And
this week was a challenging topic. Forgiveness is one that is it's tough to talk about because
it is.
We all have some experience with it.
And what I noticed in a lot of the feedback from yesterday and some friends that texted me and some people that were there that really, I think it exemplified the fact that we all have a lot of pain in our past and scars from that pain. Even if the pain is not quite there anymore, it left a scar. And do we hold on to it? Do we forgive it? I mean, it's one thing to have pain, it's another thing to have the scars, but forgiveness has to be a part of the healing. Let's just put it that way. And it's tough, man, when hard things happen.
And it's hard when I've found over time that sometimes it kind of compounds itself. So when something happens, you can forgive that, but something happens again, it kind of brings back all of it. You have to work. It's a daily decision to every day I have to choose that I'm going to live in forgiveness today instead of the bitterness, and it's hard.
That's hard. And I think the most common phrase that has gone on for centuries, maybe, I don't know, maybe just 100 years or 150 years, is forgive and forget. That's what we got to do. Forgive and forget. I don't even know what that means, because forgiveness really is you forgive, and then when you remember, you still forgive. And then when you remember, you still forgive. Now, God does an interesting thing where we begin to forget. We begin to be like, that's not a big prominent thing in my life right now, but to expect that we're going to be able to forget it, I think it's a little unrealistic.
And probably unhealthy as well. I mean, it's important to remember the things that have happened to us, the things that we've felt, because it's what makes us who we are. There's other things that make us who we are, but the experience it's a really good point. Is part of it. And so, but I always think of that forget is not so much forget the event, right? But maybe forget the bitterness that you're feeling.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to look at that.
And over time you practice. I choose forgiveness today and tomorrow and the next day, and maybe the day after that, I have forgotten the feeling of bitterness.
It's a great way to look at that. I mean, that's a spin on it that I like. I kind of like that.
I feel better about it than forget the thing happened.
You said something that forgiveness is always choosing, and so whenever we feel that, and whenever we remember that incident, if you saw the list that I put up on the screen yesterday, I gave a whole list of things that forgiveness is not. And one of the things is ignoring that it happened to you.
Right.
I mean, no, you can't ignore that. You know what I mean? That is not, when you forgive somebody, I got to pretend like it never happened. No, that's not true at all. So the forgive and forget is actually harmful. So it's like, man, we forgive, we remember, we forgive, and God lightens us every time we make a choice to forgive. Because one of the things I said was, forgiveness is a decision, not a feeling.
Right.
And so it's a complex subject, and I know that people were in a lot of pain, and people still are, and trying to unhinge themselves from being controlled by that person in the past, held hostage to bitterness and anger. And forgiveness is the way that God says, here's how you can do it. And obviously the model is Jesus forgave us. So we got to forgive others, and that's what Paul said in Colossians.
When when you think about it, when Jesus forgave us, it wasn't forgetting all of the sin that we did. It was almost acknowledging it. I think some of the freedom can come in saying, listen, I'm acknowledging what you're doing. I didn't forget what you did, but I'm choosing to continue our relationship. I love you.
Right.
Let's heal this. I think that's more freeing for both parties.
When 100%.
And
it gets really difficult when the person doesn't ask for forgiveness, doesn't admit to the wrong, or somehow doesn't deserve our forgiveness, or has died, or has gone away.
Really hard.
And it's like, now what do I do?
Yeah.
And there's only one thing to do. And it takes supernatural power.
Yeah.
It just really does.
The humility to be able to do that. You know, there's a Bible character that you didn't mention yesterday, but then when you read his story, which we're going to reference here in a minute, we see that pattern of like something happens.
Yeah.
Nobody ever asked for forgiveness of Joseph, right? And that's a
huge
nobody
huge
ever came to him and said like,
yeah, man.
Hey, I would like for you to forgive me for none of them ever said that. True. He just gave it.
Man, let's make a list of things that happened to Joseph. First of all, I'll do the first one. He was beat up by his brothers, and thrown in a pit, sold into slavery. So that
and
his brothers,
they
made his coat. What would they do? They like gave it to an animal or something, put blood on it. Yeah, something like that. They put blood on his coat to make it seem like an animal had eaten him, but they threw him in a pit, and he got sold into slavery. That's his own flesh and blood brothers who did that to him.
Yeah. So then he goes into slavery.
Yeah.
Even that. He's a good guy, right? And so he works his way up in the court of the Pharaoh, right? Yeah, Potiphar first. Works his way up in this area. He becomes pretty powerful, has access to everything, and then Potiphar's wife is like, I like this guy. I'm gonna see if I can get him. And she told lies about him, like
man.
Just
and she tried to come after him, but he pushed her away, and then she blamed him for trying to attack her or something like that.
She grabbed his outer garments. Listen, this poor guy, he's got to stop losing his coat. He's getting him in trouble all over the place.
So he gets blamed for that, gets thrown into prison.
Yeah.
And then he meets the cupbearer, and he meets the baker, and he tells a dream about them, and the dream comes true, and he tells the cupbearer, listen, can you please remember me?
Yeah.
And for 2 years, forgot all about him.
Which, that part of the story, I'm like, this man is responsible for you not being dead right now. How'd you just forget that he exists?
And you think about all that, and it doesn't ever say he forgave them or anything like that, but he had to have. And because the doors were just opened at that point when he then was summoned by Pharaoh to interpret a dream for Pharaoh, that came true. He became this powerful person.
Yeah.
But listen to this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. This is in Genesis 50, verse 15. I'm going to read on. But now that their father was dead, Joseph's brothers became fearful. Now, understand, Joseph was the second in command of all of Egypt, right?
Kind of a big deal.
Now Joseph will show his anger and pay us back for all the wrong we did to him, they said. Because that's typical. You pay back evil for evil, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's a pattern.
So they sent this message to Joseph. Before your father died, he instructed us to say to you, please forgive your brothers for the great wrong they did to you, for their sin was in treating you so cruelly. So we, the servants of the God of your father, beg you to forgive our sin. When Joseph received the message, he broke down and wept. Then his brothers came and threw themselves down before Joseph. Look, we are your slaves, they said. But Joseph replied, don't be afraid of me. Am I God that I can punish you? You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people. No, don't be afraid. I will continue to take care of you and your children. So he reassured them by speaking kindly to them. What?
Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, there's all kinds of forgiveness in that.
Right.
Even though they're begging for it, it's like Joseph could have had them killed. He could have said, no, get away, throw them in prison, go back to where you came from. He was so forgiving and had to come to a place where God worked in his heart so much to help him to see that y'all meant it for evil, God meant it for good.
Yeah.
That's a hard place to get to.
When we look at specifically what Joseph's brothers were looking for, were asking for, right? They're saying like, please forgive us, but they're asking for a forgiveness on like bare minimum, just make us slaves, right?
Mhm.
They're like, we're your slaves.
That's right.
They're not asking for a restored brotherhood. Like, they're not looking
Just
to
spare our life and our
have
people, and that's
just,
it.
yeah.
That is, you're right. The low rung on
bare
that
minimum,
ladder,
please
man.
just don't kill us.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the forgiveness that Joseph showed. Somehow Joseph, thousands of years before Jesus, has this ability to exemplify what that forgiveness would look like when Jesus came and forgave all of God's people. It's
pretty amazing. And that's why I was saying yesterday that forgiveness is supernatural. You can't get to that place unless the Spirit of God comes over you and gives you that vision of like, hey, you know what? I can redeem this all.
Yeah.
I can buy this all back. What happened to you, I am actually going to do something amazing. I'm going to use it for good in your life and the life of others around you.
Yeah.
And God attends to us. He feels sorry for us. He hears us. He sees us. He does not he hates that we had to go through abuse or something like that. You know, he doesn't like, he says, I'm going to buy it back and we're going to get healing.
Yeah.
But you have to start to forgive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's going to bring it. He's going to do something amazing. And I think that's just, it's hard, but that's why we have Jesus. You know, he can help us with that.
Yeah. That I know both of us have really personal stories that connect to forgiveness. I think everybody on some level has some personal.
Oh, yeah.
And on both sides, right? Like, I've been forgiven as well in a way that is healing. But in the giving of forgiveness, that ability to it's really a self-forgetfulness, you know? That's saying what I should be able to do because of what you did to me, I'm not going to do.
Right.
I'm going to put it down.
That's right. That was... You know, giving up my right to hurt you because you hurt me was one of the definitions I gave yesterday. And it's such a good way to think about it. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
And completely countercultural right now.
Yeah.
We don't think about it.
If this is really hard and there's been some seriously traumatic things in the lives of people, man, there's nothing wrong with getting counseling to help you through the forgiveness process. I think it's so important to do that. But I think the counselor... I know the counselor's also going to say, man, we got to get to this place of forgiveness. Let me help you to see how to do this, but we have to. You know what I mean?
And there are times that getting to that place of forgiveness can happen without ever having a conversation with the person you need to forgive.
Yeah.
Especially if it's going to put you at risk, right? Or like if there's going to be some kind of riskiness to trying to go and have a conversation, then it doesn't mean that forgiveness can't happen.
That's true. That is true.
It still needs to happen, but it just needs to look differently.
Yeah.
Because it is a heavy thing.
It's heavy. It's a complex subject. It's not. It just is, and yet it seems so simple, but it takes supernatural power. Yep. You know. Yeah. And I'm thankful that Jesus forgave us for everything we did, and that's the model. That's the example. Do as Jesus has done, and so. You know, we live this life of broken people, broken world, broken things. Yeah. I hurt people and I don't even mean to. You know what I mean? Or sometimes I mean to. You know what I mean? Sometimes, it's like and hopefully people forgive me, but I don't want to burn the bridge that I got to cross one day because, you know, when people hurt me, I want to be able to forgive. And so,
Well, and something that hit me at some point years ago was, you know, me holding on to unforgiveness is not doing anything to the other person. It's just hurting me.
That's right.
And so
that's right.
We've got to move past it because we're just gonna.
I said yesterday that withholding forgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting for it to affect the other person. Yeah. It's really what it is.
That's a good analogy.
It's the big thing, and I think it affects us more than it affects. We hope that it affects another person and brings healing to them, but it's going to affect us if we don't. Yeah. And so anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Well, deep, man, deep.
It is more than we can really do in our little time here at the table. But your message yesterday was great. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. Come back to this.
Yeah, man.
The message-based study is also a.
That's right. That's right
also
there.
an option.
Man, that's a good way to think through everything. Yeah, you're
These
right.
are things that are good to talk through with others as well.
Yeah. Very true.
Yep.
Awesome, Layna.
Cool.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot.
For sure.
Thanks. Good being at the table with you.
It's
See
always
you guys
good to be
next
here.
week.
Have a good week.